Hello Army, welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, welcome, because today we have something that I want to tell you is genuinely rare. Not rare in the way that we sometimes use the word rare to mean impressive or significant, although this is both of those things. Rare in the specific and literal sense that what we are about to discuss does not happen very often in the professional world of dance and choreography. We are talking about a choreographer, a professional, accredited creator, someone whose name is attached to one of the most beloved and most artistically significant songs in BTS's catalog, publicly and explicitly acknowledging that the performer he worked with took his choreography and made it better. Took something he created and elevated it beyond what he conceived it to be. Not just performed it well. Not just executed it faithfully. Made it more brilliant than he had made it. That is what Brian Pospos said about Jimin and Serendipity. And we are going to go deep into what that means, why it matters, and what it tells us about the kind of artist that ParkJimin is. Let's start with Brian Pospos, because understanding who he is and what he represents in the world of professional choreography helps establish the full weight of what he said. Brian Pospos is not a K-pop industry insider. He is not someone whose career is built around BTS or around K-pop specifically. He is a professional choreographer and dancer who operates in the broader world of commercial and artistic dance, who has worked with artists and brands across multiple contexts, and who has built a reputation in the dance community that stands on its own merits independently of any K-pop association. His YouTube channel and his professional profile are known to people who follow dance as a discipline and an art form, not just to people who follow K-pop. This background matters enormously for understanding the significance of his comments about Jimin, because it places those comments in a context of professional authority rather than fan enthusiasm. When Brian Pospos says something about the quality of Jimin's dancing or Jimin's creative contributions, he is saying it as a credentialed professional whose judgment about dance has been developed through years of work at the highest levels of the industry. He is not saying it as someone who is trying to please a fan base or to generate engagement with a K-pop audience. He is saying it as someone who was in the room, who created the choreography, who watched Jimin work with that choreography, and who has the professional vocabulary and the professional standing to assess accurately what he saw. And what he said, in his own words, was this: Jimin is truly great. He even perfected a move I did in one of the bridges, where he seemed to move his hips to the floor. So, shout out to Jimin, that has become an iconic moment. Those three sentences are the heart of today's story, and I want to go through them very carefully because each one is doing something specific and something significant. The first sentence, Jimin is truly great, is the setup. It is a statement of overall assessment that frames everything that follows. Brian Pospos is not saying Jimin is good, or Jimin executes choreography well, or Jimin is an effective performer of other people's creative visions. He is saying Jimin is truly great, using the language of genuine artistic evaluation to establish that what he is about to describe is not a minor or incidental quality but something fundamental to who Jimin is as an artist. The second sentence is the revelation: he even perfected a move I did in one of the bridges, where he seemed to move his hips to the floor. This is the sentence that changes everything about how we understand both the choreography of Serendipity and the nature of Jimin's creative contribution to it. Let's unpack what is actually being said here. Pospos is describing a specific move in a specific section of the choreography, the bridge. He is saying that the version of this move that Jimin performed is better than the version he himself conceived. The word perfected is doing enormous work in this sentence. He is not saying Jimin put a different spin on it, or Jimin made an interesting interpretation, or Jimin did something unexpected with it. He is saying Jimin perfected it, which means that Jimin's version is the completed, fully realized form of what Pospos was reaching toward but had not fully achieved in his own conception of the move. This is one of the most extraordinary things a choreographer can say about a performer. It is the acknowledgement that the performer understood the movement at a deeper level than the creator did, that they found within the choreography a potential that the creator had not seen, and that their execution brought that potential to its fullest expression. It is the acknowledgement of a creative gift that goes beyond technique and execution into something that can only be called artistic intelligence, the ability to see into a movement and find its fullest possible version. The floor move that Pospos describes, the specific hip-to-the-floor moment in the bridge of Serendipity, is something that ARMY who know the Serendipity performance as well will recognize immediately. It is one of those moments in the choreography that stops you, that creates a specific and involuntary physical response in the viewer, that communicates something about the music and about the emotional content of the song in a way that language cannot quite reach. If you have watched multiple Serendipity performances, the special stage from the Wings tour, the various solo appearances where Jimin has performed the song, the Ararang tour renditions, you know the moment Pospos is describing, and you know the specific quality of impact it has. It lands every time. It lands differently from every other moment in the choreography. It has a quality of inevitability to it, of something that had to be exactly that and could not have been anything else. And now we know that it was Jimin's own invention. The third sentence confirms this definitively. Shout out to Jimin, that has become an iconic moment. The shout out is a public acknowledgement of creative credit. Pospos is not just describing what happened in a studio or in a performance context. He is giving Jimin credit, in public, in the specific language of recognition that one creative professional extends to another. That has become an iconic moment, past tense, referring to something that has already achieved a certain cultural status, something that is already recognized and remembered. And the implicit meaning of that phrase is that its iconic status exists because of what Jimin did to it, not because of what Pospos originally conceived. Now let's talk about Serendipity as a song and as a performance piece, because fully appreciating the significance of Brian Pospos's acknowledgement requires understanding what Serendipity is and what it represents in the larger landscape of Jimin's artistic identity. Serendipity was originally released in September 2017 as the intro track for BTS's Love Yourself, her album, and it immediately became something different from the usual category of album intros. It was too complete, too fully realized, too emotionally rich to be just a prelude to something else. It was a world unto itself, a soft, layered, deeply personal exploration of love and fate and the quality of finding something beautiful that you were not looking for, expressed in lyrics and a vocal performance that were entirely and unmistakably Jimin. The song has always been understood as a deeply personal expression of Jimin's artistic identity, and the live performances of it have been among the most discussed and most beloved in his entire catalog. The choreography, created by Brian Pospos, was designed to complement and express the emotional world of the song, flowing, soft in some moments and sharply precise in others, using the body to tell the same story that the lyrics and the melody were telling but through a completely different medium. When the choreography and the vocal performance and the specific quality of Jimin's presence work together, the result is something that audience members consistently describe as almost unbearable to watch, in the specific sense that beautiful things can be almost unbearable, something so precisely and so completely itself that the perfection of it creates a kind of ache. The bridge moment that Pospos specifically identified as Jimin's own contribution sits within this larger artistic context and takes on additional meaning from it. The bridge of Serendipity is one of the most emotionally intense sections of the song, the point at which the lyrics and the music reach toward something that feels like the full expression of what the song has been building toward. A bridge is, by definition, a transitional moment in a song's structure, but in the best songwriting and the best performances, the bridge is where the deepest emotional truth lives. It is the most exposed and most vulnerable moment, the place where the performer has nowhere to hide behind arrangement or structure and must meet the song directly, with everything they have. For Jimin to have made a creative choice in exactly this moment, to have looked at what Pospos gave him in the bridge and found something that went further, that found the floor in a way that expressed something the choreography had been gesturing toward but had not yet fully reached, is an act of artistic courage and artistic intelligence that comes from a very specific place. It comes from the place that has always made Jimin's relationship with music and movement different from standard idol performance. It comes from the place that was formed by years of contemporary dance training at Busan High School of Arts, from the specific understanding of movement as language that training instilled, and from the intuitive artistic intelligence that cannot be taught but can be developed when a genuine talent is given the right environment. Jimin looked at a choreographed movement in the bridge of Serendipity and asked, in the way that genuine artists ask, through instinct and body and feeling rather than through articulated analysis, what does this movement want to be? What is it reaching toward? Where is its floor? And then he found the answer, in his own body, through his own specific understanding of how movement communicates emotion, and he brought it to the performance. And Brian Pospos, who created the movement that Jimin perfected, saw what happened and said shout out to Jimin, that has become an iconic moment. Let's talk about what this kind of creative contribution means in the professional context of K-pop performance and choreography, because I think it is worth understanding how unusual it is for a performer to make this kind of contribution and have it acknowledged in these terms. The standard model of K-pop choreography is that the choreographer creates, the performers execute. The choreography is a finished product that is delivered to the group, who then spend weeks or months in training learning to execute it precisely and consistently. Individual performers may have personal interpretations that distinguish their execution from their bandmates, but the fundamental creative work, the invention of the movements, the construction of the choreography as an artistic statement, belongs to the choreographer. What Paspos is describing in his account of the Serendipity Bridge is a departure from this model. He is describing a performer who brought creative intelligence to an already created work and elevated it, who made a contribution that was not asked for, was not part of the brief, was not in the choreographer's original vision, but that was so clearly right and so clearly better that it became the definitive version of that moment. In the professional world of choreography, this is the kind of contribution that earns specific and formal acknowledgement, because it represents a genuinely rare quality, the ability to see into someone else's creative vision and find what it was reaching toward but had not yet fully expressed. This quality is consistent with everything that has been observed and documented about Jimin as a creative contributor throughout his career. The dork credits recognition of his songwriting contributions to BTS and his solo work. The Nitty Music podcast account of how Jimin perfected the final chorus of Into the Sun in a studio session with Diplo and Tizo Touchdown. The confirmed creative involvement in the Calvin Klein Rebel Ride collection, from the denim wash selection to the hidden signature embroidery. The Big Hit Vice CEO's confirmation that the long blonde Ararang hair was entirely Jimin's own idea. All of these data points, from different industries, different creative contexts, different professional perspectives, converge on the same description of who Jimin is as a creative presence. He is someone who does not just execute other people's visions. He is someone who elevates them. He is someone who brings creative intelligence to every context he enters and consistently finds the fuller, more complete version of what is already there. The Serendipity Bridge moment is one of the oldest and most foundational examples of this quality in action, predating many of the more recent recognitions, existing in the performance archive of BTS since 2017, and only now being fully publicly acknowledged by the person who was in the best position to recognize it, the choreographer who created the movement that Jimin perfected. Let's also spend some time on the specific phrase Brian Paspos used that has become an iconic moment, because I think it carries more weight than it might initially seem to. The use of the present perfect tense in that phrase places it in a specific relationship to time. That has become iconic means that the iconic status is already established, already in the record, already part of how that moment is understood and remembered. Paspos is not speculating about whether what Jimin did might be remembered or might come to be recognized. He is stating that it already is recognized, that it has already crossed the threshold into iconicity, that its status as one of the unforgettable moments in contemporary K-pop performance is not in question. And ARMY already knew this, in the way that ARMY tends to know things before they are formally acknowledged by anyone else. The Serendipity Bridge has been part of the community's most cherished performance moments since the song's first live outings in 2017. It is one of those moments that gets clipped and shared and re-watched with the specific quality of something that people return to repeatedly because each viewing reveals something they had not quite fully registered before. It has been discussed in fan spaces in exactly the terms that Paspos finally used publicly, as something unique, something irreplaceable, something that belongs entirely to the specific combination of this song and this performer and this moment of genuine creative synthesis. The formal acknowledgement from the choreographer validates what ARMY already knew, but it does more than that. It places the validation in a context of professional authority that extends beyond the fan community and into the broader world of dance and performance. When a choreographer of Paspos's standing says that a performer made his work more brilliant than he made it, he is adding a data point to the record of what is possible in performance art, a data point that says something important about the specific kind of extraordinary that Jimin represents. It is worth asking, finally, why this kind of acknowledgement is as rare as it is. In the professional world of creative collaboration, it is not easy to say publicly that someone took your work and made it better than you made it. It requires a specific kind of artistic security, the confidence to acknowledge that excellence does not diminish you but reflects well on the environment you created and the creative exchange you participated in. Brian Puspos's willingness to make this acknowledgement publicly says something about his own character as a professional, and it also says something about the quality of the creative exchange that happened when he brought his choreography to Jimin and Jimin brought himself to it. The best creative collaborations produce something that neither party could have produced alone. The choreographer without the performer is working in the abstract, conceptualizing movements that have not yet been fully realized. The performer without the choreographer is without a structure within which their specific qualities can find their fullest expression. When the collaboration works, when the choreographer creates something that genuinely meets the performer and the performer brings something that genuinely extends what the choreographer created, the result is exactly what Brian Puspos described. A floor movement in a bridge that became an iconic moment. A hip to the floor that Jimin perfected because he understood it at a level that its creator had not yet reached. Shout out to Jimin. Those 3 words, from the person who created the choreography, after the performer took it to its fullest expression. That is the whole story. And it is one of the most beautiful stories about what genuine artistry looks like when it finds its fullest and most complete expression in the specific body, and the specific creative intelligence, and the specific irreplaceable presence of ParkJimin. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, it genuinely helps the channel reach more people who need to hear this story. Drop a comment below telling me your reaction to the Serendipity bridge moment. When did you first see it? What did it do to you? And does knowing that it was Jimin's own creation change how you experience it? Subscribe if you have not already, share this with your fellow army, and I will see you in the next one. Purple you all.